Hello everyone, welcome to another episode of The Yellow Show with me, James Gordon. I'm joined by the newly engaged Matt Turner. We'll jot that in early doors.
Oh,
congratulations,
thank you
Matt.
very much.
Commiserations to his better half. We're here at Warrington Sports Club. If you've not seen the news over the summer, the chairman's been busy. He's negotiated a deal with Warrington Sports Club for Warrington Town to use as a training base. And the players you can sort of see over our shoulders there are just training and preparing for this Saturday's opening league game at home to Morpeth Town. Nice, you've been down here before, Matt. A decent setup and a decent opportunity for the club.
Yeah, it's a cracking facility. I mean, you just have to look around you. The grass and the pitches are all well manicured. They're all well looked after by the folks here at Warrington Sports Club, and it's definitely something that's going to benefit the club moving forward. Because if you look around, a lot of the teams at this level, not a lot of them can call on, a grass training facility, and they're a bit like gold dust at this level. So it's a great move, and with one eye on the future, because it's that next stepping stone into a future in a sort of hybrid level and ultimately full-time football.
Well, and a little Yellow Show exclusive, we believe Accrington may be training here later this week.
Yeah, I believe so.
Which will be an interesting joint training session. Is that the murmur?
Yeah, that's the murmur. It might be a bit of a joint training session with Accrington.
Hot off the press,
Hot off the press, straight for you.
But yeah, I mean, you mentioned about the grass pitch. Obviously, we know that Steve Jennings is one of those players that his signing was made possible by this venue. He wouldn't have signed otherwise. So you'd imagine that he's going to be a key part of this season.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, speaking to Toby, the chairman, about it, and he just said you'd be surprised the calibre of player that just having a place to train on grass can attract. And as if by magic, Steve Jennings is here. We already know the sort of difference he can make to a side from his loan spell a couple of years ago, and he could be the missing piece in the jigsaw, and he could be. Well, I think he's going to be the perfect partner for Ben Garrity or Scott Sefton, whoever starts alongside him.
Yeah, he certainly, in the game against City Liverpool last week, I thought in the first half, Jennings was probably the only one that really played and stood out. So, you mentioned the hybrid model. Of course, we know South Shields are going with that hybrid model this season. So for those who are watching or listening that don't quite understand that hybrid model, a few of the teams at maybe National League North and obviously South Shields in our league are going is they have sort of a mix of full-time and part-time players. So they train in the evenings, but then their full-time players will also train in the morning as well. Warrington, of course, aren't there, but there are murmurs that at some point or at some times in the season, if Paul Carden can manage it, there may be some of that going on as well.
Yeah, it's creeping down the leagues, isn't it? The full-time football or even hybrid sort of football. There's a few full-time clubs at National League North level, and now obviously, like you say, South Shields are going hybrid, and that'll obviously help them. They obviously don't want a repeat of last year as much as we'd love a repeat of last year. What happened between us and South Shields? They're having a real go at it. The bookies odds, they have them very, very short favourites for the title, and you'd probably say that's about justified, really.
Yeah, I mean, as much as we don't like to admit it is a money game, generally the teams that spend the most money are more successful. They've got a lot of young players though, haven't they? Because that's the thing when you go to this hybrid model. Ultimately, full-time pros are, the full-time guys are often young guys, and that might be a little risky for them if some of them young. I mean, young players can go one or two ways, can't they? They either do well in senior football or they don't.
Yeah, it's a sink or swim thing, isn't it? I mean, you'll generally know in the first couple of weeks whether they're going to thrive or die, as it were. So, like last year, we could see a bit of a sticky start for them as well. They get used to the level, but who knows? Exciting times ahead. Season's back.
Yeah,
the season's back.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, it's difficult at the start of the year because everyone's got a new squad, and some teams have got settled squads and whatnot, and you're never really quite sure where teams are going to be at. I suppose we can be quite sure of where Warrington are at because fairly settled side. I think I spoke to Cards last week, and you look at the players he's added. Matthew Chadwick's coming now. Geno. He's added players that are better than what we had last year, and obviously ultimately won the playoffs last year, and that I suppose he had to improve because that all the other teams are going to improve.
Yeah, of course. I mean, he was in a great position, Cards. The first couple of weeks after the Kings Lynn game, you already had 10, 12 players from last year committed for next season. So straight away you're going into pre-season with a base of not having to add to the squad unless you know it's going to improve you. And if you look at the players who have come in, like you say, Matty Chadwick, he's seen it and done it at this level. He scored goals at this level. He knows how to get out of this level the right way. Steve Jennings, who's been around the block so many times in the Football League and in Scotland as well. Alex Byrne, who's a good performer at this level, as is Scott Sefton and Lewis Barnes as well. So they're all, like you say, they all add to the squad and add something that maybe wasn't really there last season. I just spoke to Cards about Matt Chadwick. He called him a selfish striker. He's a typical penalty box poacher. I mean, he's played 75 minutes for the club in pre-season. He's already scored twice. I think that's sort of what was missing a bit last year and maybe the year before that as well. Just someone who's going to take a chance when it comes to him. Maybe doesn't do too much off the ball, but when a ball falls to him, he'll take his chance. And
I suppose testament to the environment that's being created at the club is that players, even though it is a big squad, players are wanting to stick around and fight for the place.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, you've got the likes of Conor McCarthy, who, with the striking options that Cards has got, may find himself down the pecking order, but he's expressed a desire to stay, fight for his place, and prove that he's good enough for a spot in the side. And again, that shows what's in this dressing room. There's fight in there, there's character in there, and there's a willingness and a determinedness to prove themselves, and that can only help you, really.
First game against Morpeth Town on Saturday. We don't really know a great deal about them other than they won the league. They won the league below, or one of the leagues below last season. They have lost one of their better players in David Carson, who's gone to Livingston, I think, or was it Livingston or Inverness? Inverness, it might have been somewhere in Scotland, a decent level in Scotland. So it'll be there. I think it's the first time the two teams have ever met. Actually, Paul Roach might be watching. He might be able to correct me on that.
Yeah.
How important is it? Do you think a relentless start is important for Warrington? Because, of course, the Warrington team are as settled as any other team in the league. So have Warrington got, whereas last year, obviously, a slow start. Yeah. It's so important this year to be getting off 3 or 4 wins out your first 5, because ultimately no one should be better prepared in this league than this Warrington Town team. Yeah,
I mean, they have certainly got that opportunity. Like you said, it's a settled side. Everybody knows each other. Everyone knows their roles. There's established partnerships there in the side already, so in theory that should lead to a good start. But like you say, Morpeth are a bit of an unknown quantity. They could bring something that we're not necessarily prepared for. I mean, they won, I think it was the Everstick First Division North or First Division
East. It was the East Division.
Yeah, I've got to get that right because we've got a league representative here, of course.
Yeah.
They won it at a canter, so they're obviously no mugs, and they're up there in the bookies, among the bookies' favourites to go up again. So you can tell they're well supported, they're well backed. They've got an experienced manager at this level, and they might upset teams.
I suppose the other thing is, if you look at Morpeth, they're the latest in a line of teams that have come up and done really well. So, South Shields being one. You've obviously got Darlington, even like Scarborough, Baseford. These teams came up last year and mixed it with the big boys last year. So you've got to expect that sort of thing to happen again. And on that note, obviously the first away game is next Tuesday night, and that's Atherton Colliery's away. Yeah. We were just talking about Atherton, off camera there. They've just made a couple of signings. Is that a dangerous game? That'll be Atherton's first home game at this level. It's the first time they've ever been at this level. Potential banana skin there, maybe?
Yeah, you've got to be prepared for it. I mean, they're going to be bouncing, the way they won promotion for the playoffs, didn't they? So
no, they won the league.
They won the league.
Yeah, Everton,
yeah.
Right,
well.
And they beat Al Ittihad from Saudi Arabia, who are a top league Saudi Arabian team. They beat them 2-0 in a pre-season friendly recently. So
they've clearly had a good pre-season then, and like I say, first home game at the highest ever level. We experienced that a couple of seasons ago. We know, it can bring that extra 1% out of a group of players, and that could make the difference. So, like you say, it is a potential banana skin, but it's nice and local, a quick 10-15 mile
No
jaunt.
coach for that one.
No coach for that one.
There might be a fans bus, so we can't speculate on that.
We can't.
There'll be a fans bus probably for that one.
Yeah.
Gainsborough, you going to Gainsborough? It's Wembley Day.
Unfortunately not. It is Wembley Day, so I'll be required down at Wembley. Are you going to
I'm
Gainsborough?
Wembley as well.
You're Wembley as well.
Wembley as well. Yeah. So
we might need a
ringer.
Yeah,
Speaking of which,
we might need a correspondent for the day
for Gainsborough.
If you're interested for Gainsborough, that'll separate the wheat from the chaff in terms of Warrington fans, won't it?
Yeah, you're right, actually. Yeah. I mean, to be honest, I'm a bit gutted about that because Gainsborough was probably the best. They put on the best meal last season, I'd say.
Is that right?
The best.
Better than Matlock.
Yeah, but best pre-match.
Wow,
Gainsborough. So how Gainsborough did it, they did like a sit-down meal before the game. Some teams do it at half-time, but Gainsborough had a nice meal in that. There's like a pub. It feels like a pub.
Yeah.
It must be a social club on the other side of the ground. So yeah, I'm going to miss that at Gainsborough this year.
Fingers crossed we draw him in the cup.
Yeah, I need him in the cup. The FA Cup is is a week and a bit away from when we're filming this, and obviously the draw for when Warrington and Leinster will come after that. After those games, the extra preliminary round has just been last weekend. Then it's the preliminary round, and then obviously Warrington enter at the first qualifying round. Matt, then go on, and you can put your neck on the line. What are your predictions for the season?
You've got to hope that they'll be up there again, sort of challenging the top 5. I mean, they've certainly, if they can keep this squad together for most of the season, then you've got to hope that they'll be up there again. I think that's the aim, even if they won't express it publicly. I think that might be the aim within the club to try and mix it in the playoffs again. Winning the league is going to be tough. You know, there's sides throwing a lot of money at it, and there's a lot of good sides about. But I'm confident that they can finish in the playoff place.
I mean, to be honest, I've not even contemplated not finishing in the playoffs.
Yeah.
I mean, that's how, I don't want to sound overconfident, but I've not even contemplated that thought. I mean, you look at, won the playoffs last year, was comfortably, don't forget, the top 3 or 4 were miles ahead of everyone else last year.
Yeah.
Weren't even close to not being in the playoffs. You've added strength to the squad. I've seen a few predictions. I've seen one prediction last week. I think they had Warrington down as 8th, and I'm just like, I don't see. Obviously we're closer to Warrington than any other club, so obviously we know the ins and outs, and so we don't know the ins and outs of other clubs necessarily as well. But I just don't see a way how any of the other teams in the league can have built a squad that is more settled and of better all-round quality than this Warrington team at the moment.
Yeah. James Gordon there, sticking his neck well and truly on the line. Your head's very much on the chopping block there, but
you reckon?
You've got.
Are you that worried? I've not contemplated not getting in the playoffs.
Well, I'm just trying to be. I'm cautiously optimistic. Is what I am. Cautiously optimistic.
See, I get grief all the time for being pessimistic, and then I come out and be optimistic, and I get grief for that as well.
You can't win. You can't win.
So yeah. Are we going to sign off there?
Yeah, let's sign off.
We're going to go and watch him train, see if we can get any tips. Matt fancies a game on Saturday, so we'll see.
Yeah, need to get in shape first, though.
Thanks, everyone. Thanks, everyone, for watching. Please do subscribe, and please do leave some comments. If you've got any questions, put them in there, and we'll try and give you some insight as best as we can. We'll try and do these a lot more regularly this season as well. We're going to release them as podcasts, and if you want to see anyone in particular on the show, we're going to drag some players and other staff onto the show as well. Please do let us know. But from us, that is it for now. Cheers, Matt.
Yep, thanks a lot.